Good morning everybody and welcome to our first lockdown English lesson. So I'm going to explain how this works first. So this is a video. So if at any point during the lesson you need to pause or you need to rewind to go over something that you've missed, then you can do that. If when you're doing your work later you want to come back and watch it again because you're not sure of something, then it will still be up on Teams and you can watch it again whenever you need to. So let's begin. Today our learning objective is to use modal verbs. So modal verbs work with other verbs to show how possible or likely something is to happen. So I've got some examples here. I wonder if as we're going down you can think of some more that you might have learnt about in previous years. See, how many of those did you manage to get? We've got could, might, shall, may, can, ought to, will, must, would, should. So modal verbs show how possible something is or how likely something is to have happened or happen in the future. So look at the first one. He's very late. He could have missed the train. The modal verb could is working with the verbs have missed to show how likely it is that he's going to miss the train. So look at the next one. It's snowing, so it must be very cold outside. Again, the modal verb is must. And it's working with the verb be to show that it's definitely going to be very cold outside. Okay, they will lock the windows when they go out. Can you spot the modal verb? And can you spot the verb that it works with? Okay, so you should have found the modal verb is will and the verb it works with is lock. Okay, so they're definitely going to do it. Now, I wonder, I've got a sentence here and I've already got the verb there. We something eat pizza for dinner. Which modal verb could you put into that gap? Can you think of more than one option? Perhaps we might eat pizza for dinner. We will eat pizza for dinner. We may eat pizza for dinner. How about this one? This time I've got the modal verb, but I'm missing the verb it works with. If she leaves her room messy every day, she may not a treat. Have a think, what might go there? She may not get a treat. She may not deserve a treat. She may not earn a treat. So these modal verbs are again showing how possible something is. Mum might take us swimming after school. Can you spot the modal verb? Can you spot the verb it goes with? You could eat a banana instead of those sweets. Hurry up, we will be late, said Dad. So think, how definite is that going to happen? What's that modal verb will telling you? Right, now we've got another gap. We something go the other way, it's quicker. So which modal verb would work there? Can you find more than one option? Perhaps we should go the other way. Perhaps we will go the other way. We can go the other way. Maybe you want the opposite. Maybe you want to take a nice slow stroll around the park. So we will not go the other way. It's quicker. Look at the next one. You ought to something to bed earlier. So we've got the modal verb. What verb could it work with? You ought to go to bed earlier. You ought to get to bed earlier. Just some options. So, as you've probably worked out already, modal verbs can significantly alter the meaning of a sentence. So I've got 4 sentences here. I must walk to school, I might walk to school, I ought to walk to school, I won't walk to school. So I want you to find the 4 modal verbs and I want you to think, which one shows that it's the most likely or the least likely to happen? Which one would you choose if it was raining? Which would you choose if you had a broken leg? Which would you choose if you live right next door to school? Probably not the same option each time. So as you're picking your modal verbs for your writing, you're helping to create a bit of a character, to create the story, to create the setting of your work so that you can make sure that the reader really understands the motivation behind what's happening. So let's have a go. Choose different modal verbs to put into each sentence. How do they affect the meaning of the sentence? So have a look at the ones underneath. How could you show that they're confident it will happen? How would you show somebody was hesitant? Perhaps unsure. It won't happen for sure. It will happen for sure. Maybe in the middle, we don't know. So see if you can play around with those 3 sentences. How many different modal verbs work? Not every modal verb will make sense in every sentence. So just need to bear that in mind. Have a little think. So we can also use modal verbs to create questions. So if we have a look at these sentences here, she can go out. If I move that modal verb can to the beginning of the sentence, it becomes can she go out? And have a look at the punctuation at the end. What do we need if it's a question? We could drive there. Find the modal verb, pull it to the beginning. Could we drive there? So let's have a look at the next one. Children should eat fruit. Find the modal verb, put it to the beginning. What will the sentence be? What will the question be? Should children eat fruit? Let's have a look at the next 2. I'd like you to find the modal verb, move it to the beginning, create your question. So you should have, must you tidy up? And may I go to the park? Remember that question mark at the end of a question? Oh, I've already slid the screen down there, never mind. So, modal verbs can be used positively and negatively to show whether things will or won't happen. So, I could say positively, I will try my best in class. It's going to happen. Or, I could add the word not, and I could say, I will not try my best in class. I obviously hope that's not true for you. But you can see how the word not completely changes the meaning of the sentence to be the opposite, will not. Like this. It would be a catastrophe. If I add the word not, it would not be a catastrophe. Again, I've completely altered the meaning. Instead of everything going horribly, horribly wrong, this time it would not be a catastrophe. Everything's going to be fine. Kay can win the race versus Kay can't win the race. Now if you look at the first 2 sentences, we've added the word not to the modal verb, and now we've got can't. Can you think why that might be? What is can't short for? Can't is short for cannot. We've contracted it and we've used an apostrophe to get rid of the, to replace the letters that are missing. Could I do that for the first 2 sentences? I will not try my best in class. So will not is contracted to won't. I won't try my best in class. It would not be a catastrophe. Would not is contracted to wouldn't. It wouldn't be a catastrophe. You can see those both make sense. If I was to do the longer version, Kay cannot win the race. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's a little bit more formal, but it's absolutely fine. So it's up to you when you're doing your writing, whether you want to use the full formal version, will not, would not, cannot, or whether you want to use the more informal contracted version. And that will obviously depend on the type of writing you're doing and which is more appropriate. So let's have a look. We could buy sandwiches for lunch versus we couldn't buy sandwiches for lunch, or we could not buy sandwiches for lunch. Either is fine, depending on how you want to do your writing. Oh, this time I've got the negative version. Ibrahim may not play the king in the play. So what would be the positive version? Ibrahim may play the king in the play. These ducks might swim across the river. What would the opposite be, the negative form? These ducks might not swim across the river, or we could contract it. These ducks mightn't swim across the river. Ooh, you something open the door, you mustn't open the door. Think what mustn't would be a contraction of. You must not open the door. So it would be you must open the door for the opposite. So that brings us to the end of our online video. So to summarise, I've got a reminder of some of the different modal verbs that you can use there. And this is what we've learned so far. Modal verbs work with other verbs to show the likelihood or possibility of things happening. Choosing the right modal verb is important to give the reader the correct information. And modal verbs at the beginning of sentences create questions. So now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to log into Class Dojo and complete the activity sheets which have been set. There are 2 pages for this lesson, so make sure you complete them both. Remember, you can come back to this video and play it again if you need to. If you do not submit your work by 1 p.m, your parents will get a phone call from school, so make sure it's in by 1 p.m. Now, if you get stuck, your teacher will be on Teams between 12:30 and 1 o'clock, and they will create a meeting. So if you are stuck, you can join that meeting. You can speak to the teacher. You can ask questions. If you're not sure about anything, please do that. Okay. If you're really stuck and you can't wait until 12:30, then you can send us a message on Class Dojo. But it's better to be able to speak to the teacher through the meeting if possible, because then we can answer your question a bit more thoroughly and a bit more carefully. Okay. So good luck with the work. Make sure that you submit it on time. And like I say, if there's any problems, make sure you come to the meeting between 12:30 and 1 o'clock so that you can speak to us and we can help you to sort it out. Okay. I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's lesson. Good luck and make sure you upload to Class Dojo. Bye!